what's poppin'? Neil Hobson, Neil Town. Inspire Young Adults podcast is on. I'm super excited to be here with some great friends of ours from the Inspire team. Ryan, Terrence, Nishan, Amy, and our mission here is to what? To lead people to a God who is for them and help them discover His purpose for their life. We want you to know God, find freedom, discover your purpose, and to make a difference. Today we're talking about habits to the hustle. Each one of us have our own side hustles, and maybe the side hustle became a main hustle, and maybe you're looking to start something, maybe a business of your own in 2020, or something to bring in some income for the new year. We can help you with that, and it's going to start with your habits. Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself, brother.
Yeah, what's up? My name's Ryan. I've been coming to Church on the Rock for 25 years now, so it's been a long time, but served in many ministries from the youth, Inspire, to the cafe, kids department, creative arts, facilities, so many different areas. But outside of that, I'm a speaker, entertainer, and author, so do a wide variety of things, but it's fun, yeah.
Love it. Terrence, holler at your boy.
All right. My name's Terrence. I've been a part of Church on the Rock since 2012. I do Spanish interpreting here, along with working with Inspire. I absolutely love them.
Hola.
Yes, hola. ¿Cómo estás? It's like, you need any help? Holler at me. Okay.
How do you say that in Spanish?
Pues, ¿necesitas ayuda? Por favor, dime.
We're on it.
It's true.
Despacito. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. So I'm a designer, but as far as my personal business goes, I absolutely love personal development, personal growth. I'm currently working on a leadership book and working on creating new video content where people can get entertained, enjoy it, but also level up at the same time. So
that's awesome.
Love it. I love New Year, New You. Let's do it.
Yeah. Like Black Tony Robbins.
Oh, man. That makes me so happy. Okay.
Talk to us, girl.
Hey, I'm Nishan. I've been attending Church on the Rock for 15 years. I am on the Inspire Decor team. I also serve in the nursery as well as the youth center. I am an entrepreneur outside of that. I have a daycare, and also I'm the author of 2 children's books.
Get it, which my daughter, and we read every night, by the way. It's called I Am,
so cute.
One of them, and we read that literally every night, and she's tore it up by now. She's always, running and grabbing it, and it's awesome. So love that book. Yeah. Amy, talk to us.
Hello, my name's Amy, and I'm fairly new to Church on the Rock. I did dance about 2 to 3 years ago with Neil, and ever since then I have come and attended, and I've been a part of Inspire for a little bit now, and it's been a really cool family to be a part of. But outside of that, I am a dancer, choreographer, performer. I teach dance. I travel around all over the world, and it's been a really cool opportunity to share the passion of dance.
Facts. We have a nice collective here, so maybe you don't dance, or maybe you don't write or speak, but you do something else. Hey, it's all good. We can all learn how to better our habits every day, and it starts with the beginning. And it sounds redundant, but it really does start with the very beginning, and that's how you build a habit. That's how you start something. And you may be wondering, what is a habit? What's your definition? Well, the Webster definition is an acquired mode of behavior that has become nearly or completely involuntary. It's automatic response. That's what a habit is, something that you just do, right? And it reminds me of this scripture, 1 Corinthians 9:24-27. I love it when Paul's talking about running the race. He says, "Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it. Every athlete exercises self-control in all things. So I do not run aimlessly. I don't box and try to beat the air, but I discipline my body, and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified." Each one of us has great habits, maybe some not so great habits that we're working on in 2020. Is there anything that sticks out to you, Ryan? I'm gonna pick on you a little bit.
Yeah.
Any habit that you want to maybe start or stop this year?
Yeah. Something I would say probably I'd want to stop is procrastinating. I procrastinate so much.
Yes.
It's to the point where I get so caught up in making a to-do list, and that's great, but I never cross it off. I never cross something off the to-do list. So if I have in my head, I need to call this person, instead of calling them, I'll just put it on the to-do list, and it'll sit there for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I just never get to it. It could be months before I get to do that one.
Is that why I never received a call from you?
It's probably why, yeah.
I see. It all comes out now. So procrastinating, that's big.
Yeah.
That's big, because if you keep pushing it off, you'll actually never do it. You'll never get there.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Terrence, what do you think? Anything you want to start or stop in 2020?
I want to start getting 8 hours of high quality sleep every single night.
8 hours of high quality.
REM. The reason why I specify with the high quality is the fact that I have a very bad habit of falling asleep with the light on.
Do you?
Even though I have smart lights where I can just say, Alexa, turn off the light, and it will do it. But I will lie there, I will wake up and be like, light shining all in the face.
Wow.
And then be like, then I wake up again and be like, Alexa.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And so that's my number one.
Okay.
8 hours high quality.
Yeah. And everybody's scared of the dark sometimes, right? You know, everybody.
It happens.
Terrence is like, hold on. No. That's not where I was going, brother. I actually fall asleep with the light on, too, quite often. And it's terrible when you wake up.
It decimates your sleep quality.
Yeah.
Like, it absolutely decimates it.
That's true. And looking at your phone, all the blue light or your TV before you go to sleep, that's another thing. Yes, indeed. Deshaun.
A habit I would like to start is reading more. I know Pastor always says that we're lifelong learners here at Church on the Rock.
Facts.
And I find it hard to sit down and flip a page to read a book.
You can write a book, but reading a book. Oh, yeah.
So just feeding myself with things so I can constantly grow, not only in business, but also spiritually, so that I'm growing and also can help others grow as well.
I like that. I'm working on reading a little bit more myself. Yes, indeed.
Something that I want to start is my perspective or perception on things when they might become negative right away. You know, so I look at something and I'm like, ooh, this might not be a good turnout, or this conversation might be a tough conversation with dealing with customers. But walking in and saying, you know what, let's communicate. Let's have a conversation. Let's see the positive in things instead of immediately going to, ooh, this could be negative.
Yeah,
so maybe just looking in the light of positivity and my actions, even if I think it might be a hard one to get through.
Yeah, I love that. All of those, you know, one of my things is over-communicating in 2020, because sometimes I give a little bit and I think that people can read my mind. So when the result is not exactly how I thought it would be, like, well, I didn't say enough. I didn't communicate enough. You know what I mean? I didn't follow up.
Good.
You know, so communicating is definitely key, something I'm working on. You know, I got a question for y'all. Maybe you, as you're listening, have you ever driven somewhere and you didn't remember how you got there?
All the time.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
totally. Absolutely.
I'm talking, you didn't remember passing anything. You didn't remember how you got on the highway, how even long it took to get there. You just ended up getting there, right? And, you know, how many of us eat and drive?
All
Does anybody
the
eat and drive?
Yeah.
Rarely.
Taco Bell.
Dangerously.
Taco Bell, right? Chipotle.
Twice a day.
You know how hard it is to eat twice a day? Eat a burrito bowl on the go. It's very difficult, guys. Listen. And do my taxes? Like, come on, guys. How many of us, how many of you put on makeup while you're driving, ladies? You put on makeup while you're driving?
I have not. That is
Really?
very
It is.
unsafe.
It's very, you're right.
But it's
I'm
happened.
not.
But it's happened.
It's definitely happened.
That is very unsafe too. How about you listen to the radio, listen to podcasts, something
totally.
like that, driving, right?
Love
Okay. We're really gonna be honest. Okay, you may be doing this right now. How many of you have texted and driven before?
Yes.
Can you repeat that?
Exactly. And then this is the bigger one. How many of you have done pretty much all of the above and driven at the same
All the
time?
same.
Yes.
Eating, listen to the podcast or radio, texting,
Everything except makeup.
everything except for makeup. Praise the Lord. It happens. But you know what? The reason why we can do that safely for most of the time. Now, I'm not advocating you do that at all. You shouldn't. Okay, focus on driving. Hands on 10 and 2. Right? It's because we built up habits. It's on cruise control. It's automatic. We don't have to think about it. So we can have a burrito in our hand. We can be driving, putting up on eyeliner, turning the radio up, responding to texts, and then driving all at the same time, because we've conditioned ourselves to be able to do that. And that's what really habits is starting something very simple, because you didn't start out that way, and then building on top of that. You know, so if you want to break a habit, you want to build a habit for the new year, it really starts with little steps. Don't try to do everything at once, especially in 2020. You know, you want a new year, you want a new body, you want a new whatever, a new mind, and you feel like, I got to do everything right now. But just take it step by step by step. Many of us are trying to change behaviors, but our identity is the same. We try to change the behavior, but we're still the same person. Really, for overall change, I've learned is that we really have to change who we are.
True.
If we try to change our diet, it's not like, well, I'm just going to eat healthy. Well, it's kind of like, I'm going to become a healthy person.
Right.
I'm going to, feed my body good things, and this is the reason why. If you're trying to change your bank account, we got to work on our spending habits rather than focusing on what the account looks like. We get to check, how do we divide it up? Do we tithe? Do we, break it down from there? Little things like that, I think would change our lives. Pastor, he recommended a book, Atomic Habits, and that book is just amazing. It's by James Clear, and the power of habits are so key in our lives because we want the end result, but it takes us in that daily walk to actually get those results. Is there a habit in the new year that you want to develop? Anything that sticks out to you, say, you know what, this will make my year better if I just adopted this one thing. Is there anything that sticks out to you?
I think one of the biggest things for me is setting a time limit on my phone. I can get a lot done with my phone, but I know I can get so much more done without having my phone.
Yeah.
So setting a time limit on social media and not putting on my passcode whenever the screen time is up, or not having my phone in my face before bed, but rather listening to a podcast, or either letting the chronological Bible play.
Come on.
Any of those things versus having that, like you said, that blue light in my face and scrolling and watching somebody else's life, but just trying to figure out how I can better my life, again, so that I can better someone else's life.
I think it's so key, especially being entrepreneurs, being young adults. If you want to actually accomplish something and run your business well, you have to set those time parameters. You have to know when to shut it off, when to shut it down, and when to focus on something else. If you're living through somebody else's life and looking at their life instead of actually working on your own, then you miss out on what God's trying to work out and do in and through you. So like with dance, Amy, okay, you're a dancer, and you just don't become a great dancer just because you want to. Just because you looked at all the YouTube videos,
Right.
You think you can do it, right?
You have to work hard.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
What are some practices that you've put into place to become a great dancer and a great choreographer?
It's very important as a dancer choreographer that you spend the time in your training. I teach all the time, a lot, often, and I've had to schedule and find the me time, and that could be as simple as working out, or even just your happy time where you're doing something that you enjoy outside of everything. But I've found how important it is to go take a class and to keep up with your personal training so that you're still staying active in what you're pursuing your career to be in.
That'll preach right there. It's
Nice.
easy to teach it. It's easy to talk about it. That's what, like Paul's saying in 1 Corinthians, he says, but I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified. So you taught everybody else, but can you still do it? You know what I'm saying? Are you still training? You going to workshops? Are you still investing into yourself? Because we're growing here. We're lifelong learners here. And I think that's really key. Thank you so much, Amy.
Yeah.
Terrence, now you're like a growth machine.
I love it. I
love
love
it.
it. It makes me so
You
happy.
send me texts and you send me links and of how we can grow and how we can get better. When you're writing your book and when you're going through your growth seminars and your trainings, what's one thing that's really sticking out to you? Say, you know what? If I adopt this habit, if I keep doing this habit, it's going to yield some great fruit.
For me, it's constantly learning.
Yeah.
I probably learn in between 1 and 3 hours every single day.
Wow.
Just because I need to have the new influx of ideas, the new influx of content to be able to create awesomeness.
Yeah.
But I also strongly believe in, basing things, filtering everything through the Word. So years ago, Pastor Blunt talked about being on a Bible reading plan, especially with Proverbs. So every day I listen to Proverbs. For probably the past 3 to 4 years, I generally go through the Bible once a year. And, I went through it last year. I'm going to be going through it again this year. But I absolutely 100% believe in, making your car your university.
Yeah.
And then finding, having mentors that are absolutely amazing and then going deep with them. Don't just just go shallow with everything. Find somebody who really, really resonates with you and then just consume their content and then start to apply. I know that one mentor said something that I thought that was really powerful. He's like, if you wouldn't follow you have work to do.
Wow.
It's good.
Yeah.
That was from Chris Robinson.
My man. I like it. If you wouldn't follow you, then you got some work to do. Wow. That's incredible. Ryan, you are skilled in a lot of different areas. And sometimes, it's a blessing, right?
Thank you.
But sometimes it could feel overwhelming because when you can do so many different things, whether it's juggling or playing the bass or writing a book or speaking, what do you focus on first? Like, how do you actually manage your time? You know, if you're trying to build a business and build good habits, like, how do you manage that?
Yeah, that's tough. It's hard not to be stretched so thin.
Sure.
You know, when you have so much going on, you can people can pull from you in so many different ways. But for me, I'm a runner. I love to run. So when I go to the gym, I'll go run. I'll put in my headphones. I'll be listening to music, and that's my time where I'm really thinking about. I'm not thinking about juggling. I'm not thinking about playing bass necessarily. I'm thinking about speaking. Like that's my speaking quiet time, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now when I go to Breadco and get my computer there, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in a different environment there.
Yeah.
So I kind of, that's how I separated out. I separated between, you know, running is just for speaking, Breadco is just for production stuff. You know, it's just so many different ways to do it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think when people want to say, I want to run a marathon, I think the goal is not really just to run a marathon, it's to become a runner, right?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily to write a book, but it's to become a writer. You know, that means you're working on your craft and you're doing the necessary work that it takes to actually do what you need to do and to become that person. You may be listening right now and you have some goals for 2020. Maybe you want to start that side hustle and you feel like you're at one point, but you want to take it to the next level to make some money at it, right? Nisha, you have a business, really a couple of businesses, and you're making profit. You got some cheese in your pocket, you know what I'm saying? And, that's a good feeling, but it just doesn't happen because you want it to happen. Are there any habits that you've developed, maybe on a daily basis or weekly basis, that you do to start or maintain your business?
For sure. Feeding myself, most importantly, is one of the major things, spiritually and also in the childcare field. So I cannot train up my staff to be who they need to be so we can provide the quality childcare if I don't know exactly what it is that I need to teach them. So the biggest thing is assigning them trainings to do and come back and give a report, and also myself doing trainings. There's so many different childcares out there, but it's really is what makes us different.
Yeah.
We are a Christian-based childcare center, and that sticks out to a lot of people. It's the first thing that we mention when you come through the door. So I think one of the biggest things is being able to work in your craft, something that you love to do, but also having a profit from it. But you have to love it. You honestly just have to love it. There's a lot of different ways to make money, but if you don't love what you do, if you don't know your why, it's easy to get caught up in just making money, and you will be completely upset with the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So that's just one of the biggest things. I knew that I had a love for children. I knew that I love God. I put the two together, and we're rocking and rolling.
Yeah. And working with kids, you have to be, have to have processes, and you have to have habits, and you have to do things a certain way because you have people's lives in your hands. You know, when parents drop their kids off, they expect you to do things consistently, right? And that's how you really teach a kid, is to do things consistently. Amy and I were talking a couple days ago about paying taxes, right?
Oh.
Here we go.
As a business owner, as you get that side hustle, but when they give you that W-9, you know what I'm saying? That W-9, though, things change because that means you have to report and you have to pay taxes. And we were talking about that, and you shared some knowledge with me about what I could do differently than paying taxes, once a year at the end of it in a one lump sum. What did you tell me to do? Quarterly.
Yeah.
Something that you can do quarterly, and you can take the money, put it aside. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. What do you do? Put it in a shoebox? Or how do you do that? You know?
Yeah. You honestly, the biggest thing is holding yourself accountable and being aware of, when you're working independently, you have to really watch those things and look out for it. And, I had to set up my own a savings account to store that money. It was hard because, of course, you want to just put that money right in the bank and go spend it. But you had to be careful. You have to be aware.
Yes. It takes consistency.
Yeah.
I love it. Terrence, tell me this. Why don't you think most people achieve their New Year's resolutions or their New Year's goals? What's one thing that's really keeping them from taking that next step and actually achieving their goals?
Well, it kind of goes, I would say that one of the things is something that you had mentioned earlier about changing your identity. And so, like, if you, for instance, the difference between eating a healthy meal and being a healthy eater. One is a one-time process. The other is an identity change.
Right.
And so, if you have the identity change that, like, I am a reader, I am a learner,
right,
I am a speaker, I am a teacher, then you will do things in a different way.
Yeah.
And so, if people start to focus on who they actually are, through affirmations, vision boards, meditation, or just quoting scripture about all the things that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Yeah.
And then just taking the vision of who they want to be, and then actually implanting it deep inside them, they'll have a greater percentage. They'll have a greater chance of actually getting what they really want.
Yeah.
So rather than just saying, okay, this is what I want to do, and then just drive, it's like that's just focusing on the fruit. But then actually changing the identity changes the root. You change the root, it automatically changes the fruit.
I like that. I like that. So many of us are trying to change the fruit, and we think if we can just change the fruit, then everything's going to be okay, but it keeps growing the same thing your root is. Yep. And we wonder why we have so many problems. It's like, let's just change the root. And I think it's interesting, working out. If I'm in the mode of working out, it's easy to wake up in the morning. It's easy to, there's harder days than others, but my body knows what it's about to do. But if I, take a day off, and then take another day off, and take a couple more days off, it's so much harder to wake up and get my body in the routine of working out. And my muscles are shocked as well. They're like, what's going on, guys? They're having a conversation. They're like, oh, what are we about to do here? So I think it's so important to just start somewhere. Ryan, what would you tell somebody that's listening right now if they want to start a new habit? Where do they begin? Like, how do you actually just start?
I would say start small, because it's those little things that build up to the big thing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, they have, like, their main goal, but they don't have, like, their sub-goals, as I'd like to call them. They have, like, point A from, like, where they're at now to their goal, which is point Z.
Right.
But they forget about B, C, D, E, everything else in between.
Yeah.
So, I think that's it, having a roadmap to get to where you want to go.
I like that.
Because you can't, you may never get there if you don't know where it is that you're going.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it's in your thoughts as well, your thought process.
Yeah.
What you're thinking, what you're saying. Pastor says, Paul says, and finally, brothers, whatever's true, whatever's honorable, whatever's just, whatever's pure, whatever's lovely, whatever's commendable, if there's anything excellent, if there's anything worthy of praise, think about these things. It's not just the doing, but it's how we think. That's how we change who we are. So as a man thinketh, so is he. So if we can start changing the way we think by the podcast we're listening to, which you're doing a great job right now, or the books you're reading, or what you're putting in your ears and your eye gates, those things really make the big difference, because you'll start to think a little bit different, and then your body and your actions will start to line up with the way that you're thinking. So I think that's really awesome to do. Terrence, you know a number of different languages. How many languages do you know?
My Spanish is very good. My Korean is okay. My French I can understand French to a degree. Everything else is pretty weak.
And how do you say no?
No.
So about 4 or 5?
Let's say realistically 2 or 3. Let's say that.
Listen. So you speak a number of different languages, and it took, I guess, habitually studying every day or listening to it every day. How did you start that?
Oh yeah, no, the game is real.
Yeah.
So I have probably, over the past 10 years, I have probably done language study 5 to 6 days a week for about 10 years.
Wow.
And I started a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I also was one of those people that, like, so I didn't have a natural ability for language. My sister did, but I had the ability to grind.
Ah.
And so when I was in college, I made a decision. I said, you know what? I'm not going to just graduate with a piece of paper. I want to have a skill that I can really take with me.
Yeah.
I did get my piece of paper. Don't get me wrong.
Stay in school, kids.
Yeah, for real, do that. But I decided, I wanted to know Spanish, and so I worked with my, study abroad coordinators, and I was able to study in Spain, work at my university again, then study in Mexico, and then I started my first job. I was a bilingual staffer for a company.
Wow.
And then, just grind. So if you really so one of the things about languages that's kind of interesting is the fact that we're all built to be able to learn languages. We're absolutely 100% built to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll rarely find an adult who has learned a foreign language on their own.
Right.
And the reason why you won't find it isn't because it's difficult. It's just because the amount of work that it takes is unreasonable. It's absolutely 100% unreasonable. Like you were saying, Nishan, you have to have the love, you have to have the passion.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I started learning, Spanish when I was 19. By the time I was 20, 22, 23, I was fluent. And I hadn't done any, and, I knew nothing.
Wow.
I knew absolutely nothing.
Nada,
man.
Yo, what's your word for the day?
Nada. One of my professors actually told me in class one time, he's like, Terrence, if you're not here to learn, why are you here?
Wow.
I was like, oh my gosh. Like,
you got these quotes from a movie, brother. This is like, Kool-Aid High, something like that. Here's the deal. All right. So one thing you said that stuck out to me was the grind.
Yes.
To be an entrepreneur, to have a side hustle, it takes grinding. I mean, it takes being in the trenches, doing what nobody wants to do. When you don't have the shine yet, you have to put in the grind work. And especially when you look at dance, everybody want to be a YouTube star.
Right.
Everybody want to dance behind whomever, right? They want to go on tour and, and be a believer, whoever they want to be. But it's it takes a lot of work when nobody else sees what's going on. And how do you stay focused? How do you stay motivated when people are getting booked for opportunities and they're getting ahead of you, so it seems? How do you stay focused on grinding and doing your work?
I feel like that comes with a mindset. You have to want it. Your passion has to take over when those types of situations happen. You're not going to get every opportunity. You're going to get a couple no's if you're talking auditions, maybe gigs, but you have to know that that's just not the right spot for you at this point. Yeah. Still trust, still believe, still have faith, and push through it and have a positive mindset that this is the right path for you, and you might have a couple obstacles your way, but stay positive, stay motivated, and that's huge for me as my mindset.
I like that. And building the foundation, in dance I learned from y'all is, especially when you're doing like ballet or modern or, a foreign dance to me, I'm mainly in hip hop,
right,
is you're building different muscles in your body and you're using different muscles that you don't normally use. Maybe, you're listening right now, you don't use your brain muscle very much. You can do all the things physically, but you don't think very much. You don't read very much. And that's a muscle that you have to develop. And once you develop that muscle, I think it expands your repertoire of what you actually have to offer and bring to the table. I assume you're sore a little bit when you're...
Oh, just a little.
Just a tad.
Just a tad.
Just a tad. And you will be sore during this process. You'll be sore writing a book. And when you feel like you're at a brain freeze, right? You'll be sore when you're trying to, learn another language or learn the same language and it feels like you're not learning anything more, you're not retaining anything, you can't conjugate a verb. Or when you're speaking, when you're juggling, you can't catch anything, right? Mm-hmm. Butterfingers.
Yeah.
Or, whatever it is, it takes you getting over those mental blocks. But when you develop a habit, I think those are the things that kind of help you and push you over the edge. Here at Church on the Rock, like I said, we're lifelong learners. We're committed. We're growing. We're people-oriented, and we help each other as well. If you have a business, you have something that's going on, a side hustle, help somebody else with their side hustle, and I think that will help your side hustle as well. Yeah. Ryan, you've served in so many different ministries here where you know how to do anything and everything at a given moment.
Yeah.
You can just jump in when you're called upon, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's key because not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
And what that'll do, it'll give you more opportunities because you're not limited by the one thing you can do, but you can hustle on the side and make it grow.
Yeah.
I love it. So if you're listening right now, be encouraged. We want to encourage you to take the next step. Maybe the next step is coming here live on campus. Saturday at 5 o'clock, Sunday 9, 11. Go to cotr.life. We want to help you. We want to grow with you, whether it's growth track, water baptism, small groups. Our young adults here, we meet once a month, and we would love to invite you out to that meeting. It's a great time. We have so much fun, and there's food, and there's DJ, there's live worship, and a lot of great things. But it's a lot of friends and family that are willing to really help you. We love you. Our pastors, Pastor Blunt, Pastor Kim, love you here. They invest in you, and we want to make sure you get the most out of this podcast and the most out of life. And we want you to know that God is for you.